Welcome my fellow wordsmiths, I'm Tim. The first novel I ever wrote was called Legend of the Godchild. And it was hard to do, because
writing is hard.
And I've never written a novel before. But there was another reason, and this was probably mostly the reason why it was so hard. It was a key character story I really wanted to tell. So bad, it was a really cool idea. But I didn't know how to tell it, which led me to throwing in some other characters. Probably have teenagers if you're writing a YA. And their stories had to compensate for the lack of not knowing how to tell this other character's story. And that just made it a giant disaster. I just didn't know whose story I was telling. I know the one I wanted to tell, but it didn't work out. So I figured, why not look at the Legend of the Godchild and figure out whose story was it. Don't forget you can download my free Excel word count trackers. Like, subscribe. Social media. Let's get started. Okay, I'm going to move through this part as fast as I can because you kind of need to know it, but I don't remember most of this. The original idea for Legend of the Godchild was called Omen Seer. It's made about a girl who could see the future or see events in the spiritual sense. Michael the Archangel had a role in it.
Oh, yeah, I should probably say this was during my Christian days. Very important.
Also, right around the time when I got this idea, I just finished reading G.P. Taylor's Shadowmancer series, which is a YA supernatural spiritual warfare novel that takes place in 18th century England. And I loved it. I loved the idea of it. But it needed to be present day. So, Omen Seer was what I came up with.
Only I couldn't figure out the story.
But I did have an idea for a prequel story. That story I was able to figure out. When it came time to write it,
I couldn't.
This is because
writing is hard. Writing is hard.
And because I couldn't write it, I figured this issue it wasn't the right story, so I changed it. I don't remember the main character's name, but he eventually became Sage. And I gave him 2 foster sisters who were teenagers because it was a YA.
And you probably need teenagers if you're writing a YA.
By the time I made all the changes and wrote it, the story went from being Sage's story to Natalie's story. Now, I know I said in the intro we were going to figure whose story this is. We don't need to figure it out. I know it became Natalie's. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at both these 2 characters and see
why
it went from Sage's story to Natalie's story. So let's start with Sage. Spoilers alert. Well, potential spoilers ahead. I don't know if any of this will actually take place. Sage is Michael the Archangel. I have no clue if I plan on using this mystery point in the next iteration of the story. I just want to give you a heads up. If I do, you've been warned. So Sage is a 22-year-old community college student that cannot remember anything but the last 5 years. He was adopted by the Richards family and became good friends with their 2 younger daughters. And that's one of his first early memories. The story picks up 5 years after he lost his memory, and he's in community college. This is when things start to go weird for him. He intervenes in a dispute of a jock bullying a weaker, kind of nerdy character. Sage gets his ass handed to him until a rush of energy floods him and he throws the jock off. And I mean by throws him off 30 to 40 feet because it's a fight on campus grounds. He goes sees the president, but thankfully the president is looking for his sisters, and he gets off scotch-free. More on that in Natalie's story. Soon after this, a guy named Cyrus shows up. You quickly find out that Cyrus is an angel. He actually helps fight off the jock who is sent by the president of the school to retrieve Sage's sisters. But the reason why Cyrus is there is he's there to give Sage a quest. He's supposed to find something. Cyrus doesn't know what he's supposed to find. He just knows it's nearby, and he knows that Sage could find it. He's looking for Michael the Archangel's sword because he is Michael, and Michael's been missing. Sage eventually agrees to go do it. When he finds it, he gets his wings, his memory, and full power back just in time to defeat the baddie and save his sister. That's basically his story. So now let's look at Natalie's story. At the time I was developing this story, I posted on a Christian forum, and someone had the audacity
to tell me, if you're writing a YA, you should probably have some teenagers, and they should probably have a major role in the story.
No, they don't. You can write a YA without having teenagers in it.
Duh!
So Natalie and Kiana were created and were given a major role. So out of the 2 characters, Natalie and Kiana, Natalie is the main character. Kiana has a role, Well,
Sorta.
the plot to become more complicated. The story is there's a godchild that has the power of God in them, and if you kill them, you can become God. This is what David Dr. Toller, the president of the community college, and some person named Jacob Piper are seeking. They have the scroll, and through the scroll, they learn that the godchild will have a certain birthmark, which Natalie has.
So does Kiana.
And Natalie is the godchild. Or like I said, it could be Kiana.
It's Natalie.
When Dr. Tiller learns that Natalie has this birthmark, he sends the jock under a spell to go retrieve her. When they get her, he doesn't kill her right away. Mostly because
So the movie can happen.
things happen that delay the ritual from happening, like Kiana stealing the scroll and getting away. Find out Dr. Toller isn't the main human villain, Jacob Piper is. And he's working with a fallen archangel
Menino.
so he can overthrow Lucifer. Eventually, Natalie does
Die.
allowing Menino to become God just in time for a sage to show up and say,
Nope.
and kill him. And by kill him, I mean send him to the abyss. This story was always supposed to be Sage's story.
Always.
But the person I talked to on the forum who suggested that their teenagers have a role was smart. I do think I probably could have gotten away with the aging Sage down to like, it was smart to bring in some teenagers for the story, but it's not the reason why it became Natalie's story. The reason it became Natalie's story is because I couldn't figure out the quest Sage was on. Yes, there's something in the book. It was a big mystery who Sage was, like what was his past and everything. And it would be fleshed out over time and be this big reveal that he's Michael. Which I kind of did better in the Veil trilogy.
Sort of.
It was all supposed to happen in this one novel, but I couldn't figure out even the quest for him to go on. And it just turned out the sword is stuck in a mountain nearby where he's living. Yes, in the quest, I've come up with a few ways to delay him. The biggest hurdle to this was an evil creature at the sword, guarding it because it couldn't take it, just in case Michael came for it and it would then kill him. Because the quest was underwhelming and what I wanted, Natalie's story had to necessarily be fleshed out. It had become bigger. And that was so Sage had time to find the sword and not just go right to it. But I will say, for my first novel, I did come up with very understandable reasons why bad guys couldn't kill Natalie right off the bat, but it was ultimately there just to give Sage more time to find the sword. But in the end, by the time I was done with the story, it had become Natalie's story, not Sage's. But I'm almost certain if you read it, you can absolutely tell I wanted it to be Sage's story. You made it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, why not smash that like button and subscribe? Don't forget, you can download my free Excel word count trackers. What should you do with your nano novel? Click the video over there. Wait, over there? That one? Yeah, over there. Click that video to get my 4 suggestions on what you should do with it. And I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching. Bye!